What's good, sports gamers? And today I'll be going over with you everything gameplay related to help improve your game in College Football 25. I'm Chris from Sports Gamers Online, and alright, let's get to it. Struggling making kicks with any type of consistency, one way to help with that is changing how you lock in the power. You can set it in your settings to be either tap and tap, which means you have to press the button twice to lock in the accuracy and then the power, or tap and hold, which means you just hold the button once to lock in the accuracy and let go once you finally have the right amount of power on your kick. And max power on your kick is stopping the meter before it gets into the red section. And how far the kick and the kicker's rating will determine how big the yellow, and most importantly the green region you need to first stop the swinging meter in to have any chance of success. And the further away you're kicking from, the faster the meter will swing side to side. If you're struggling returning kickoffs and punts with any regularity, I would suggest changing your kickoff and punt camera angle to the all 22 cam, which is 2 or 3 D-pad clicks down. So you get the best above angle of possible lanes opening up for you to take advantage of. When you're rolling out of the pocket and you have nobody open, whoever is your closest receiver, if you flick the right stick in any given direction, you will playmaker them into a different spot, whichever spot you aim towards. This can lead to big plays as your opponent gets stuck between guarding you and the sudden receiver breaking the opposite way on them. In College Football 25, there are 3 types of catches you can make on any given throw, and depending on where the nearest defender is will lead you to certain ones. If you hold the square button or X on Xbox, it forces your player to make a run after the catch animation, which means he will not stop running while catching the ball to optimize getting more yards when there's space in front of him. But if it looks like you're about to run into an incoming defender, it may not. Which leads me to the next type of catch, the possession catch, which you achieve by holding the X or A button if you're on Xbox, and this will force your player to fall where he stands after catching the ball. Eliminates the yards you can get after the catch, but prioritizes you making the catch. So this is ideal when you're about to lead someone into heavy traffic, or the player about to catch the ball is about to run out of bounds. And lastly, there is the aggressive catch, which you activate by hitting triangle or Y on your controller, and your player will leap through the air to try and grab a highlight reel play. Now, if you've run into a situation where your offensive line is getting cooked every play, you may need to get the hang of this now, and it's the pass protection controls, which you can access by hitting LB or L1 on your controller, and this gets you into your Pass Pro screen, where from here you can make some important changes to the way you're blocking the defense. As you can tell them which way to block, how far to the left or right, and how many blockers you want doing it. Short story version, flicking the left stick up, for example, gets them into an empty Pass Pro for when you're sending everybody out on routes. Flicking the left stick to the left or right has your offensive line perform a full slide all the way to either side. And flicking the left stick down blocks everybody if you have a running back or fullback in the game. Also here you can double team that D tackle that has 4 sacks on 4 plays by aiming the right stick down and putting the plus sign above that player. And half slide by moving your right stick to the left or right picks up guys directly to the left or right of the O-line. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, boys and girls. With gamers now having the ability to switch their defender mid-play, it's about to get real out here, which makes it even more important for you that you do not lock in on any one receiver before the defense shows you he's actually open. I know you didn't pay all this money not to throw to Travis Hunter, but your opponent knows this as well. Every player you throw to, every route that you like, you always want to assume they're trying to lead you into a trap. And all you have to do is scan for the closest defender to the guy you're throwing to, just to check if somebody isn't setting you up. And this can help you move off of them if they do end up covered as well. Now, this is a nasty habit that pops up at random points in games, and it's dropping back too far before you throw a pass. Now I get it, you're thinking the further back I drop, the further away from the pass rush I am. But this will also severely affect the success of your throw, so practice dropping back and just letting go of the left stick, or moving it forward a bit to simulate climbing the pocket. Anything better than the eternal drop back. Starting out playing football video games, I get the urge to want to control a defensive end. You're out of the way, not making mistakes in coverage, while you can just wreak havoc on that 2-star right tackle from Texas A&M State. But you're also limiting yourself greatly with the havoc you can create by using a linebacker, especially if your opponent is using one as well. The unpredictability of a user is a quarterback's best and worst friend at times, and it's something you always want to utilize on every passing play. Now, College Football 25 went up and changed how read options operate and flipped it. So if you're coming from Madden, you're going to be a little confused. So as it currently is set up, you now have to hit A or X on your controller to keep the ball with your quarterback. So yeah, this is going to be tough to rewire in your brain if you've known the other way for years. As I mentioned earlier, try to never focus on just one receiver. So you're always going to want at least 2 or maybe 3 routes you want to throw to on every single pass play. So you're not locked into that dig route and now feel you have to throw it with pressure barreling down on you. You want to go in your head, look here first. If he's covered, look here. And if he's covered, either take off or look over there. You want some type of rhythm to it instead of going out there Johnny Manziel-ing it, which can lead you to miss easy throws all over the field. To help progress through your reads faster, simply just look at the spot on the field their route is going to, and see if it's possible they'll become open by what the nearest defenders in that area are doing. And if not, move on to your next read. Another thing you must be aware of is knowing when the receiver has the angle to cleanly catch the ball. A wide open dig route can turn into a contested catch situation very fast and possibly an interception the longer you wait, and the defender starts to get more into the passing lane, or a late sideline throw can get hairy real quick if you hesitate. Each receiver has a window where you must throw before it turns an easy catch into a wow, he picked that? When you're getting your Mike Vick on with your quarterback, I know it's hard when you're thinking about that next juke move, but it's wise to hit square or the X button on your controller to slide. Don't get too caught up in making that highlight and end up fumbling through the end zone. When attempting deep balls, make sure the receiver is at least neck and neck with the cornerback before you throw the pass, so you're able to not get boxed out and have a chance of running by him, because if not, it's a straight jump ball situation. And if you're throwing to a deep threat, odds are he's pretty short. At the bottom of the play call screen, you're able to select different packages to get your players into specific spots within that current formation. Some common packages across formations are subbing in your second string running back or even your fullback. This can mess with your opponent if they like to match personnel. If they see 3 wideouts, 1 tight end, and 1 running back when you select your play, they might go into nickel, but little do they know you're in a 5 wideout package. When you're at the play call screen, you can change your formation audibles on the fly here by hitting L2 or LT on your controller, and then cycling through the 4 preset audibles and changing them out for your actual favorite plays. So when you go audible on the field, your newly added favorite play is ready to be used. I remember in Madden 08, I would feast on guys who would attempt screen passes because 1, I could see them as soon as it started to form, and 2, they would always still throw it. So keep in mind when you select a screen pass, you're not obligated to throw the ball. Pressure is going to come, but all you have to do is simply check if their user sees it and is starting to sprint over. If they are, roll out and throw the ball away. This comes back to predetermining your throws. When you're rolling out and the defender is close enough where a run is impossible, don't be afraid to throw the ball away if the play is starting to look like a bust. Simply click in the right stick to throw the ball out of bounds. Also, don't sleep on the fact that you're able to aim the ball away from the defender that the receiver is running towards. You see on this pick, if he would have aimed the left stick to the left, it would have caused the receiver to slow down and turn around to shield himself from the interception. Just like on this play where I actually do that, you see how he does a little turnaround to protect himself and secure the catch. If you want to make something happen at the end of the game, or just in general because it's a video game, and want to make a sick highlight, while running, hitting LB or L1 on your controller has your player lateral the ball to another teammate. And lastly, to protect the ball and lessen the chance of a fumble, you want to hold R1 or RB on your controller while running, limiting the chance of you fumbling the ball. College Football 25 has altered how the read option works, which may be confusing if you're transitioning from Madden. Unlike how it's been since forever, you now need to press A or X on your controller to keep the ball with your QB. This change will require some adjustments if you're accustomed to the previous method, but if you've been cooking with read options before, nothing will change after a couple games. When running read options, always go into it wanting to hand the ball off to simplify it in your mind. If you see the guy with the R above his head when you bring the screen up pre-snap, starting to crash down, then you hit A or X to pull it out from the running back's pocket. One of the best features in College Football 25 is the switch stick, offering players the ability to seamlessly switch to another defender mid-play to make a play on the ball originally out of their reach. This opens up crazy potential to become a defensive menace on the field. So to maximize its effectiveness, use the switch stick when you can't reach a specific receiver with your current defender by simply flicking the right stick towards the nearest guy to you to instantly take control and better defend your target. For instance, if you spot a corner route developing while stationed in the middle of the field, obviously you're not going to be able to get to it. So 2 quick flicks to the left or right can shift you to the cornerback's position, allowing you to anticipate and intercept passes like a prime Asante Samuel. The switch that can disrupt opponents accustomed to relying on cornerbacks following rules. Mastering this feature can elevate your defensive game to new heights in College Football 25. To minimize putting your passes in danger, you should utilize the pass lead function to lead the ball away from the nearest defender, where only you can get it. If your receiver is heading towards the defender, throwing the ball behind them, for instance, can not only prevent an interception, but also prompt the receiver to slow down, guaranteeing a more secure catch. This technique is crucial for sustaining drives and maintaining offensive momentum. With the new kicking system in College Football 25, you probably have already been screwed out of 2 or 3 game winners because of it. But with these tips, I hope they're able to help you out. There are some things you have to know to not shank the ball into the third row. First off, as the distance of the kick increases, the meter will swing faster for you to nail the accuracy, which is the thing going left to right. Additionally, better kickers will have a larger yellow region and most importantly, green region for you to land inside. And once you lock in the accuracy, you have to stop the power as close to the red as possible to get maximum power on your kick. And if you're struggling to stop the power in time, consider changing how you lock it in. In your settings, you can set this up to either have it be tap and tap, where you press the button twice to lock in accuracy and then power, or tap and hold, where you hold the button once to lock in accuracy and release it when you've hit the right amount of power. At the play call screen, you can adjust your current formation's audibles on the fly by hitting L2 or LT on your controller. This allows you to cycle through and customize the 4 preset audibles with your preferred plays. By doing so, your chosen plays will be set up when you need to hit an audible on the field. It's wise to set audibles that complement your base play, aka the play that you're coming out in, providing multiple ways to exploit different defensive looks and attack various areas on the field effectively. By going into your defensive play call screen and down to coach adjustments, which you can access by clicking in the right stick, this allows you to fine-tune your zone coverage depths. So by scrolling all the way to the bottom, you will find your zone drops, specifically for the flats, curls, and hooks. These adjustments dictate how far your defenders drop back into their assigned zones. You can adjust the depth for each zone drop, ranging from a shallow coverage close to the line of scrimmage to a deeper zone extending downfield. So you can tailor your defensive strategy by setting different depths based on game situations and opponent tendencies. For example, adjust your linebacker's hook zone to drop 5 yards on one play and 25 yards on another to counter different things that they want to do. And to reset it back to default, use the reset play audible or play stick coverage pre-play. Whenever you see a crowded line like this, it's actually one of the easier looks to run against if you're in shotgun, because at this point it's basically your blockers against their defenders, allowing you to slide right around the edge with 1, maybe 2 guys left to beat. If you prefer to run a mini scheme or have a setup, a go-to play, setting up your favorite plays can streamline this. Simply double tap square, triangle, or X to select the play you want to add to your favorites, and a star will indicate that the play has been successfully added. Then you can access your favorite plays quickly by navigating to the favorite plays menu. This eliminates the need to search through different formations each time you want to select the same plays. Having your preferred plays in one place allows for quicker decision making and less time wasted. Also, by double tapping a receiver's button, it will cause you to pump fake at them and get the user defender to bite because of the fact that you see the passing meter above their head. In certain situations, you may need to execute a high pass to effectively complete a difficult throw. To achieve this, hold LB or L1 on your controller while throwing the pass to give it a high arc, sailing it over defenders' heads, and because of the high arc, you're gonna have to go get it. So to ensure your receiver secures the catch, press triangle or Y to have them leap for the ball. The high pass can help you complete difficult throws and help you connect with your receiver in key spots. When scrambling outside the pocket with no open receivers, it may be time to playmaker somebody to create something out of thin air. Those not familiar with the playmaker feature, it's by flicking the right stick in a given direction, you can tell the receiver closest to you to move into hopefully open space. This can create big plays by catching your opponent off guard when they're in that awkward spot of defending you from running and covering your playmaker target. So always be on the lookout for these opportunities when you're rolling out and you see nothing open, as this can help create separation from defenders and exploit potential openings in the defense for big gains. A new feature in football video games is custom stems, which enables you to adjust the distance of most routes the receiver will run. So to customize a route, select the receiver's icon before you snap the ball and press L1 or LB on your controller to activate the stem adjustments. Then use the left stick to modify the length of the route for your liking. This feature allows you to shorten routes that may be too deep and increase its effectiveness. To enhance your shiftiness on the field, always stay one step ahead of your opponent by always being ready to break out a move, even immediately after completing one. Quick decision making is crucial in responding to changing situations and staying elusive against defenders. By anticipating and preparing your moves in advance, you can exploit defensive over pursuits and react fast to optimize every play to the best of your ability. Even with the introduction of the switch stick, most players will still prefer controlling a single player during a play. So it's crucial to quickly identify that player right after snapping the ball. The awareness of the location of their user helps you plan your next move, so you'll naturally look for them if you're passing on their side of the field before committing to a throw. In your coach adjustments on the play call screen, you can adjust your team's tempo with 4 different settings, each offering distinct advantages and disadvantages. Normal provides full access to both your playbook, allowing for balanced gameplay without significant fatigue penalties. This is what majority of gamers will be playing on. No Huddle accelerates your team to the line of scrimmage faster, facilitating quick plays and catching the defense off guard. However, it increases your players' fatigue and limits access to parts of your playbook. Turbo maximizes your speed fully but significantly decreases your players' fatigue and restricts the playbook options more than No Huddle. Its purpose is if you want to emulate the prime Chip Kelly Duck teams, as it's best for those rapid drives without the defense having much time to counter. And Chew Clock slows down the game to conserve time if you have a lead, allowing you to control the game's tempo and shorten the match. If you're looking to create a game-changing play or a highlight, you can execute a lateral by pressing LB or L1 on your controller while running with the ball. This allows your player to pass the ball laterally to another teammate, which can be key in extending a play or surprising the defense. You must make note, in this game, no play is dead, and they will still let you lateral the ball as you're falling to the ground. To quickly get to the edge and put defenders on their heels, utilize the pump fake to get a speed boost around the corner by double tapping the icon of a receiver you want to throw to initiate the pump fake. This helps you get around the edge, allowing you to use your speed to stretch the defense immediately. If you're having trouble stopping kick returns or screens, one effective strategy is to dive through the blocking. By diving into the mayhem, the blockers will simply ignore you and you can end up disrupting the opponent's timing. This tactic often forces the ball carrier to adjust their path, or even better, trip over you. By holding the square or X button on your controller, you trigger a run after the catch animation, allowing you to continue moving without stopping to catch the ball. So this can help you not get warped into tackle animations when making the catch as well, by opting to run through the circle target so you can make it harder for the defender to get a hand on you. You see, like, this is a prime play where they end up jumping and the defender is back into play and able to knock the ball out. But running through the circle and then using the run after the catch mechanic, the defender basically has no chance to get a finger on you. If you find it challenging to consistently gain yards when returning kickoffs and punts, consider changing your kickoff and punt camera angle to the all 22 cam by pressing down on the D-pad twice. This angle provides the best overhead view of how the blocking is being set up, allowing you to spot potential lanes opening up and maximize your opportunities for gaining yardage. Now, pass leading can be your best friend by turning a well-covered receiver into a completed catch simply by how you aimed your pass. So when you press the receiver's icon to pass them the ball quickly, aim the left stick in the direction you want to lead the pass. Now, note, passing behind the receiver can slow them down and turn them around if it seems like they're running into an incoming defender. Like in this example, pass leading to the left had the receiver adjust his body where he actually fit in between both defenders. And this play here, I aimed to the left just to have him slow down so he doesn't run into anybody. Each situation is fluid, but there are spots you can always put the ball to increase your chance of making a completion. And if you go into your game settings from the main menu, then down to passing mechanics, and then pass lead increase, this setting determines how far from the receiver your pass lead will go. There's none, small, and what I recommend, medium, and then large, which I've found, as it obviously says, they lead it too far ahead of receivers and they end up actually dropping the ball a lot. On any type of RPO play, you want to set up the screen opposite of your quarterback's throwing hand because he will throw it faster. And two things will happen here. You will probably have your opponent control one of the guys to defend the screen and will also cause them to react way more aggressively, knowing you can throw it as fast, opening up other stuff down the field. When throwing across the middle, you can become a force by undercutting the ball by clicking onto your receiver with the circle or B button and straightening out your route so you can stop all of your momentum and catch the ball in place. Your offensive line is the most crucial position on your offense, and the passing plays you call should match their blocking abilities. If you're playing as a team like Alabama or Georgia with a strong O-line, you can execute more shot plays and deeper routes consistently. However, if your offensive line is weaker, you'll need to focus more on the short passing game, and be prepared to leave extra blockers in if you do want to take deeper shots down the field. Adapting your play calling to the strengths and weaknesses of your offensive line is key to maintaining a successful passing attack. Now, here's something that helped me a lot, was immediately finding out who they're controlling post snap. And you can find this player immediately because they'll light up underneath them. Now, I get it, it's a little bit more murky now that you're able to switch defenders after the snap, but there are still going to be a bunch of players out there who will never switch. Knowing where their user-controlled defender is allows you to look for them when you're thinking of passing into their area, and to always be on alert for their shenanigans. It's such a common practice mod now, but you got to be aware of the tricks of a user defender. If they're using against a sideline route, do not throw it. That's a potential house call, as they will undercut it. If you have routes converging with each other and they're guarding one of them, you're better off staying with the initial route because their instincts are going to have them drop off to the other one. Like I said, it's such a common move to stay one step ahead. You basically should just stay with the initial read, as weird as that sounds. I mentioned earlier, you want multiple reads to prevent you locking onto one guy, but to also not miss a potentially open one. You want your routes to work off of each other. Now, what I mean by that is if this guy is covered, there's a good chance this guy is not. And if he's covered as well, no way that guy is covered. Now, you can set it up like that with a high-low read. This is the play that has a guy run in front and another behind a defender's zone. So whatever he chooses, he's technically always going to be wrong. And you want them spread deep enough where one user can't cover both. You can set this up down the middle or on the sideline. This is the most basic of reads, and if you want to get spicy, add a streak route to it as well so you create a 3-level read, where the defense needs to start moving guys over to help defend. Another important note about reads is you always want to start with the further developing read and work your way short. So you're not piling up a bunch of 3-yard drags or in routes when your streak or post route is about to come open. Now, to help look through your reads faster, I want you to, instead of looking at the receiver initially, I want you to check the area the receiver will be running into to receive the ball. And if you notice it's wide open, if they're in man defense, or a vacant spot in the zone, will tell you if your read is about to come open or not, and if you should move on to your next read, and continue to do this until you're at your final read. When rolling out of the pocket and you have no open receivers, you can use the right stick to playmaker to direct your closest receiver to move in any direction. This can potentially create big plays by moving your stationary target into open space and put your opponent in a tough spot of having to maybe choose between defending you and the impossibility of guarding a quickly playmakered receiver. Dropping back too far before throwing a pass on regular passing downs is a bad habit that can negatively impact your effectiveness stringing together successful drives. 3rd and 20, do your thing, but 3rd and 5, try not to drop back too far as you're also eliminating any scramble chances. It may seem like helping yourself not get sacked, but it also reduces the success of your throw because it's in the air longer. To change these habits, practice dropping back and then climbing the pocket, simulating an actual QB doing so with your left stick. This limits those nasty 30-yard sacks and keeps the chance of you stepping up into wide open space alive. In College Football 25, there are 3 types of catches you can make, and all 3 largely depend on what the nearest defender to them is doing. The first type of catch is the run after the catch mechanic, which you achieve by holding the square button on PlayStation or X on Xbox to perform a catch where the player keeps running immediately after securing the ball. This is made for when there is nobody in front of the receiver. The next type of catch is the possession catch, and this is used when the receiver doesn't have free space in front of him and it looks like he's about to get hit, or they're about to run out of bounds and need to keep their feet in. The possession catch is your best friend here, and you do it by holding the X button on PlayStation or A on Xbox to make a catch where the only goal of the player is to get both feet in if they throw it to the sidelines and fall to the ground afterwards if the throw is to any other part of the field. This type of catch prioritizes securing the ball over gaining additional yards, so it's key on, let's say, 3rd down as a helping hand against tight coverage. And lastly is the aggressive catch, which you perform by hitting triangle on PlayStation or the Y button on Xbox to have your player attempt a highlight reel catch. Whether in a contested situation or if he needs to climb the ladder elsewhere, some guys are a lot better than others at performing these types of grabs. You're going to be required to perform each of these catches multiple times over the course of a game. Also, in your coaching adjustments at the play call screen, you can set a good base of telling your AI controlled players to always make a certain type of catch depending on the depth of their route. I like to set this at conservative for intermediate so they will always go for a possession catch, and aggressive for deep balls, and simply override them when I click on to control them if it looks like a run after the catch chance is there. Now this is key, and I think I've said it in every video so far, but whatever you do, do not predetermine who you're going to throw to without seeing how the defense is responding to it. Doing so will cause you to throw into heavy traffic and at worst throw an interception. Like, I know you just hot routed the running back on a wheel and you're like, I'm going to hit him as soon as he turns upfield. Now you already fell for the trap and will probably throw to him regardless of how the defense is playing him. Or if you have a stud receiver who just caught the ball for 30, now you're locked in and bam, you just got picked. This goes back to practice mode. Hopefully you have your play and hot routes already worked out so they don't become so new that you're locked in on your new adjustment. And instead just treat them like another part of the play that will earn the target if they're open. Biggest remedy to not being locked in is having 2-3 routes in your head you're going to look at and say to yourself as you go through each, is he open? Is he open? Is he open? That way you tell yourself, no, don't throw that. A simple trick I learned was if your quarterback is accuracy challenged, aim behind the receiver if the throw is even remotely risky. The game will have you overthrow somebody by having the ball go 5 yards ahead of them, but never behind them. When you're rolling out of the pocket and not facing heavy pressure, don't let a perfectly called play be ruined because you're throwing off of 1 foot. If you see your guy open, take a half second to stop running, let go of the trigger, and let it rip to get the best possible accuracy on the throw. If you're using a running quarterback, you will always be able to benefit more from this than a pocket one, but helpful all the same. But one of the cool features in College Football 25 and any football game for years is that your controller will vibrate when it senses pressure. Even if you're not looking at the line, this vibration indicates that you will probably have been sitting in the pocket for a while and you might need to start moving. While it can be hard to notice in the heat of the game, being aware of this feature can help you react more quickly and avoid sacks, or at least give yourself a fighting chance. When you're dropping back, try to avoid rolling out to the side all your receivers are not on, as you limit the play's effectiveness when all your receivers are on the opposite side of the field. And you pretty much have to Mike Vick it at this point. Now, a new feature to football games in general is the ability to have custom stem routes, which allow you to change the distance the receiver has before he makes the final break on his route. You can't do this for every play, but it's clutch, making other plays viable due to the adjustments that don't just make the route go to the sticks. Like for a hitch route, if you stem the route, you could literally have him run 1 yard and turn around, which can be very enticing for a user defender to come up and try to play while you throw something behind him. This look, usually your opponent is going to try and send 6 or get away with 5 with some manipulation on the D-line. So be ready to throw it fast or block somebody. Now, one mechanic that you should heavily utilize when throwing across the middle of the field is the hide pass, which you want to hit L1 or LB to achieve it. And it goes hand in hand with the aggressive catch, so your player will climb the ladder to catch the ball. Like I said, don't be shy to use this when you're throwing across the middle of the field to get it over linebackers and in front of safeties. When dropping back, give the passing routes a legit chance before you roll out of the pocket, because a lot of the time you're gonna start rolling out before the pass rush even gets there, and you make it easier for them to sack you. When you're attempting to throw a deep ball, you still need to make sure that your speedster is at least neck and neck with the corner before you throw the ball, or else he can easily get boxed out and you end up throwing a lollipop interception. So you want to look for opportunities when the cornerback is not already playing off coverage, and combining with cover 3 or cover 4 makes it extremely hard to get beat. Now, one key thing of advice I can give you is go into practice mode and just practice throwing, for example, a dig route over and over and over. Find out the optimal way you need to aim to get him to consistently catch the ball. Practice how you should throw the screen so your running back doesn't waste any extra time heading upfield. Getting into practice mode and ironing out these kinks can only make it seem effortless when you get into an actual game. Now, with placement, ultimately your accuracy is determined by the quarterback you are using, as you see with the meter always being the same color when you throw. And you're able to control again how you place the pass to the receiver and how hard and the loft you give your throw. Now, when you throw, you can place the pass anywhere inside the reticle by holding the left trigger and moving the left stick in your desired direction. Now, you can mess with how fast your marker moves inside the target and by how much in your settings by scrolling down to your pass lead increase and reticle speed. Messing with the reticle speed has you tell the game how fast you want where you place the ball to move from its original path. So the slower you go, the harder it will be to have any drastic movements from the original target. And messing with pass lead increase, if you set it to max, for example, and reticle speed cranked up, you see how fast it can move off of your original spot. And make a note, if you're using placement, this only matters for your free form pass leading, which is left trigger or L2 on your controller. Otherwise, for the other 3, this falls under the regular pass leading with your left stick. You want to find a sweet spot here, so if you lob, you can still alter the placement a good bit if you want to. I like to put it on 8 here and pass lead increase set to small, so I can reach the outer edges more consistently on the target and not have my receivers going for diving catches basically every pass because my pass lead is cranked up. Also note here, if you find yourself not being able to reach passes that you freeform pass lead with, add some air with a high pass, by hitting L1 or LB on your controller to give your receiver more time to run under it. You can also still pass lead with your left stick when throwing using placement, but your pass lead speed and adjustments in your settings won't account for this. It will only be in effect for freeform pass leading. Now, I love placement and accuracy for the simple fact that you can create throws like this, and it feeds the creativity of the natural passer in College Football 25. I'll say that off the bat. It lets you throw dimes to receivers on throws that aren't originally in the target area. Using this, when you begin to pass, you'll see a meter above your receiver with 3 sections. The first section, if you land the meter inside of it, will have you throw a lob pass, which you activate with a quick tap of the button. Lob passes are perfect for deep throws over defenders' heads, allowing your receiver time to run under the ball, and it's harder to intercept because you're not throwing a line drive. Now, you do want to be careful holding LT or L2 to free-form pass lead deep balls as you get close to the midfield. The sideline starts to work against you and you end up running out of room. The second section is for touch passes, which are harder to execute because the meter moves quickly and this section is close to the lob pass zone. To perform a touch pass, hold the button slightly longer than you would for a lob. Touch passes are ideal for dropping the ball over linebackers and in front of safeties. And the third and largest section is for bullet passes. These are fast passes, but you need to release the button just before the end of the meter to achieve perfect accuracy. Bullet passes are great for getting the ball to the receiver quickly, but they sacrifice arc, so avoid using them when you need to throw it over somebody's head. And like with any other way to pass in the game, you do want to make sure your feet is set before you deliver the throw. I know it's hard in the middle of a play, you get excited and want to let it rip, but you will incur an accuracy penalty and can ruin a good play before it even starts. Additionally, you can combine any of these passes with a high pass by again holding L1 or LB before selecting the receiver's button. High passes are best used across the middle of the field, allowing bigger players to make a play. However, choosing the wrong pass type for the situation can turn a potential big play into a pass breakup or a turnover. Now, an example of free-form pass leading in action. Say you're running a streak. With freeform passing, by holding LT or L2 on your controller and aiming down and to the left while bullet passing it, you can create a back shoulder type of throw against the cornerback here. Or even creating your own bootleg low pass aiming at the receiver's feet on passes. This can make the receiver drop to their knees because of your throw or snatch it out of air because of the angle you gave them. The amount of creativity freeform gives you is wild, and reason being, it's my favorite passing method to use in College Football 25. Next, let's talk about revamped passing. When throwing the ball, you can end up with 3 different colors: a blue throw, a yellow throw, and a red one. And each meter size is determined by the quarterback's ratings, abilities, and a bunch of other variables. The ideal meter is you standing tall in the pocket, throwing to a wide open receiver. This throw will give you a blue meter, which is the best and most accurate throw you can make. Now, a yellow throw will potentially cause more issues for you and your throw, while a red one means you're in potential trouble with inaccuracy penalties. Even though I think I just made the best throw ever right there, but yeah. The size of the red section will depend on how accurate the quarterback you're using is and the deeper in the red you are. AKA, if you held the receiver's button the whole way, the wilder the throw will be. And by wild, it just means the receiver won't catch it in stride. You see how that guy turned around to receive the ball? It will happen a lot like that. Again, some throws, it will be hard not to be blue, while others, like throws on the run, will have the highest chance of landing in the red. And more accurate quarterbacks let you throw it harder while still being accurate and able to get a blue throw. Now, you're able to pass lead with the left stick using revamped as well, but generally you're always going to want to pass lead away from where the nearest defender is. If the defender is barreling down from your left, your best bet is to pass lead somewhere to the right. Revamped is a classic passing scheme that just gives you more control over how your passes get delivered to the receiver, based on ratings and situations under which the pass was delivered. I love Revamp because if you have a step on somebody, Revamp lets you get the ball to them, no matter how small the window is. Like, look at that. The user defender should be pissed I kept getting his pass off on him. And hitting a well-placed line drive to a receiver with a defender barreling down on him. I do like that the QB's attributes and abilities will affect the accuracy of the bullet passes, but that inaccuracy penalty is as much as the wide receiver repositioning himself a bit awkwardly, so if he's wide open, it won't affect you as much. And lastly, we got classic passing, which I will put fourth out of all the options. It takes out the fancy meters and just has you go back to how it was before with your basic pass lead and your throws to the receivers. Your pass leading with the left stick can further be manipulated with the settings I went over in this video. A big new feature that is in College Football 25 is the switch stick. And it lets you switch defenders mid-play with the simple flick of the right stick in a given direction. So having this ability is pretty powerful, and I'm going to go over how to best use it to be a major headache for your opponent. So for a breakdown of the mechanic, every direction you point the stick to will switch you to the nearest guy in that direct line. So if you're the linebacker and aim the stick directly to the right, you can end up all the way on your cornerback. If he's, and a good chance he is, it will switch to the corner if he's directly to your left or right when you switch. So some knowledge of the defense you're running and how it's set up will help you know who exactly you're about to switch to based on the depths of the defenders. And it can cause you to play faster just knowing where you are going. So of course, if you aim up and to the left or down and to the right, for example, are more precise and will switch you to a defender closer to your current guy. Now you can switch to a different defender while standing still to get a look at who needs to be switched to before you commit. And of course you can switch while moving with the left stick and while holding the right trigger as well for sprint. And if you get switched onto a defensive lineman, don't worry. All you have to do is hold the circle button if you're on PlayStation or B on Xbox while aiming the left stick at who you want to switch to. Now you can speed up who you're switching to by messing with your zone depths of different zone coverages. If you know your yellows play at 5 yards and your curl flats play at, let's say, 15, if you're using a guy playing at 5 yards as well and aim directly to the right, you're going to switch to the guy right next to you. Now, if you're playing deeper or chasing somebody deep and you flick the right stick to the right, you're probably going to switch to that defender playing the curl flat closer to the sideline because he's directly to your right in this instance. This can speed up your aggressiveness, especially if you run 2 or 3 coverages because you know who exactly you're going to be switched to. Now, using your safety can be a bit of a cheat code for you with the switchback mechanic, allowing you to play strong run defense while not being stuck on a deep zone defender if it's a pass, by switching off to somebody more able to freestyle. And this helps with switching to guys on the corners because the safety is usually the last line of defense. To his left and right are probably going to be the corners. So if you flick the right stick to the left or right, you are immediately on the corner. And aiming down in different directions gets you onto the linebackers. But most importantly, the reason to control the safety is to play in the box while still being able to play coverage. Now, there are a few things I'm going to go over that is preventing you from becoming an overall dominant user defender in College Football 25. First off, you bite on the first read that you see a lot, and then you don't come off of it. Now, don't get me wrong, there are times where your opponent is looking to throw short, and you should be aggressive on it. Otherwise, these plays are aimed to draw you forward and leave openings behind you, or draw you deep and hit something in front. So you compound the issue for yourself of biting on the first read and what can actually save you knowing when to peel off of that target and start to work your way back in another direction. It's looked at as baiting the quarterback, but you're essentially saying, okay, I covered this guy for long enough. Let me go find somebody else. And this leads me into my next point of not using your peripheral vision. Using your peripheral vision as soon as the ball is snapped helps you take in as much info about the play as possible. Like where the routes are going and most importantly, who is coming into your area. Using your peripheral vision helps you see beyond what's directly in front of you, so you're not locking in on one receiver. And for those who have never heard that term, it's your vision outside of what you're directly looking at. And this is the single most important thing you're going to be utilizing while playing defense. If you don't, you will be easily fooled time and time again. This tells you when your opponent's color is coming into your area and when nobody's coming and it's time to commit to that guy in front of you. So this can go hand in hand with the switch stick. So if I'm controlling the middle of the field and I see two white spots continue to move down the field, I may flick the right stick up to control the safety here. If I see the slot start to break to the sidelines out of my range, I may flick the right stick to the right a couple times to now switch on to a sideline defender and try to make a play on the ball. Now the next thing you need to know how to do is take proper angles on the receiver. You can have the best instincts and vision in the world, but if the angle you took was trash, it means nothing and they're going to get a completion. Knowing the right path to take helps negate the speed advantage many of the guys you're guarding have on you. So you simply want to run to where the player is going, not where he's at. Yet the reverse is true for sideline throws, where you want to undercut the route and get in between the receiver and the ball to get easy interceptions. Now, if you take a proper angle, you essentially slow down the chance of them burning you, which will eventually happen if the pass rush doesn't get home, but you're prolonging the inevitable and hoping they throw it before you get exposed. Sometimes, depending on the route combo and where your teammates are positioned, also tells you to commit to the other guy because they have it covered. So to know when situations like that are about to happen, just peek ahead of where the route is going and see if you have teammates there. This happens fast, but you can get used to it with practice. When you're in a 2-on-1 situation, sometimes they will have a bad route combo and you can cover both guys. But some routes you will have to choose, and you always are better off committing to one or the other instead of being too late to both and you end up covering nobody. Situations like these, you have to be okay with being aggressively wrong here instead of having both guys end up open because you reacted too slow. And lastly, you're always going to want to be holding the left trigger button on your controller, at least in the beginning, as this will always keep you facing forward as the play progresses and you figure out where you want to go. If you come out and start running immediately without strafing, you're easier to beat with well-placed routes that are pass-led or quick change of direction routes like curls or options that turn into curls from the slot, as you aren't able to stop quickly enough before the ball is on his numbers and you're turned all around. Strafing against a route like that keeps you facing forward and able to drive easier. And when you see a deep route developing behind you where it's time for you to go, you can easily transition out of the strafe and in sprinting time. Now let's flip the script. Instead of guessing where they're going to go, I want you to put yourself in the shoes of the ball carrier. This puts a different perspective in your head. What move would I make here? Maybe he might make it. And it can help you anticipate without jumping too early. By putting yourself in their shoes as if you're the runner, you can better predict their actions. If you start thinking like the ball carrier, you'll begin to notice the gaps and able to meet them in spots quicker, instead of running straight at the ball with no regard to what you're opening up. How often do you find yourself flying down the field only to realize you've overcommitted and missed the tackle because they juked? By seeing what they see and seeing this big gap, if they juke back inside, you might be able to stay more disciplined in these situations. Another way to help improve your tackling is knowing when your computer AI teammates have the angle on the ball carrier, and it's your job to play as the cleanup defender instead of clicking on if the ball carrier decides to cut back inside. This is where you can sneak in a good hit stick before they're able to react to you closing in. Seeing these spots where your computer teammate has the ball carrier eliminates you pulling somebody out of position, messing up what could have been a tackle for loss or at most 1 or 2 yards. You want to stay back and act like the second wave of defense that you are. Now, when you're in the one-on-one situation with the ball carrier, what are you running at? I found it's important to have an aiming point so you're able to keep yourself aligned as best as you can while making it hard for the ball carrier, which is why you want to run at their shoulder closest to you. If you do it right, it cuts off their jukes and spins back the other way, as they will just run straight into you if they do it. And you're basically forcing them to only go one way because of that. Also, by aiming for this spot, you reduce the chances of over pursuing them and avoid you just straight chasing the ball and giving up in wide open cutback. By aiming for their inside shoulder, you can take away their options and force them into a situation where they only have one way to go. Wouldn't that make your job a lot easier? Also, keep in mind, almost every big run starts with a juke or spin. You pretty much have to be prepared for it at all times. They're coming back the other way. Now let's talk about the hit stick. It's still powerful, but it has its time and place in college football 25. Instead of trying to land a hit stick every time, you're going to want to wait for your spots. After the ball carrier makes a move or cuts inside is one of them. That's your chance to strike. How often do you see players running full speed into each other from 50 yards away, hoping for a perfect hit stick? The odds of it working out completely are pretty low. By waiting for them to essentially serve themselves up to you, you can increase your chances of landing that big hit and getting a fumble. When you're close to them, it's time to seal the deal, and you do so by holding the X or A button on your controller for a breakdown tackle, which increases your chances of bringing them down. By making this simple adjustment, you can add consistency to your tackles and prevent those annoying broken tackles that turn into 70-yarders. Doing this a lot realigns how you think about defense, where you just tackle with the hit stick, which can get you out here looking silly. You essentially are just running into the ball carrier a lot of the time, which is not exciting, but it works. And if you're the one breaking ankles on offense, that's a huge advantage for you right there. One quick way to help put yourself in position to make tackles is if you notice your opponent is about to bust it to the perimeter and your player is out of position, simply click on and start moving him straight down the line to try to meet the back. This can extend the play and make the back try to get to the very edge of the corner just to beat you when he thought it was going to be super easy. Another big blind spot that makes it so much harder to tackle is when you click on. That brief second it takes to orient yourself is when your opponent is breaking your ankles. So one thing you can do is click on right before you're in juking territory and stop your player to better tackle them, or be ready to adjust to their likely change of direction when you do click on. Now you see here, although I knew better than to go for the hit stick and he rightfully bounced right off, as soon as I clicked on, I knew he was going to cut back inside. Now I was able to meet him there. Option plays are such a great play because it's very basic. Look at it like you will have however many blockers from the formation you selected and a runner. And the read defender will be wrong and out of the play looking at the QB without the ball or chasing the running back without the ball. So as long as the number of defenders they have in the box and the amount of blockers you have to block them is equal or better for you, you're good. And lucky for us, there are all types of option plays in the game that take that basic idea and go crazy with it. First off, we got the read option, and the read option is great because it causes a defender to always be wrong, whether he stays or crashes on the running back by reading him, making all 11 defenders must account for all 11 offensive players now. So technically, the offense has a blocker for every defensive player. But the key to making this work is making sure you're making the correct read on the read defender, whether he stays or crashes. So first off, when running a read option play, I want you to hold RT or R2 on your controller to see who you will be reading on the play, and that player will have an R above his head. This is going to tell you the guy you're going to want to read to make the decision to hand the ball to your running back or keep with the quarterback. Now in college football 25, they switched the controls, so to give it to the back, you don't have to touch any buttons as that is done automatically now. And to keep with the quarterback, you're going to want to hit the X or A button on your controller to simulate you snatching the ball out of the ball carrier's hand. Now to know whether you keep or give, you're going to want to look at the outside shoulder of the guy with the R above his head. If his shoulder starts to turn inward, he's coming after the running back. And you should hit the X or A button on your controller to keep it with the QB. If he stays square to the line of scrimmage, don't do anything and give it to the running back as that defender is playing the quarterback. Go into it prepared to hand it off to the back and the read guy stays put. And adjust only if they show that they won't let you do that. Now this is not necessary, but you can also hold LT or L2 on your controller and then move the right stick to the left to see the blocking on the play. And notice it won't be accounting for the guy with the R above his head because that is who you will be reading. So the blockers will not target him, whether you give it to the running back or keep it with the quarterback. Now since you're essentially deleting a player from the defense by reading him, read option plays are great in close formations with multiple receivers on one side. Reason being, if your opponent decides to not follow along and have a corner hanging on the opposite side, that is already one less defender that can tackle you. And with the read option, you're removing another defender from the play, where you can create an even better running situation. Now on the other side of the coin, if they leave the closed side empty, it makes it even more dangerous running the option and can break long QB runs for you. Another formation example is against a regular 3 wide receiver set. Why it's so good is if your slot is covered and it's one deep safety pre-snap, if you run a read option here, it will be 6 on 6 while you read the 7th defender in the box, which you can count out because no matter what he does, he will not be involved in a direct play. So if everybody gets their block, you will get yards, and it will force the safety to come down and play the run, or force the guys in the box to really get off of their blocks. So this look keeps the defense as balanced as possible. But like I said, unless they bring the deep safety up, if the offense can block all 6 guys, it's going to be good for the offense. And if safety's up, deep shots are possible. So even if they decide to play the quarterback on the read option, forcing you to give it to the back, you're going to have good numbers to run on. Now we got RPOs, and there are a few different versions of them. RPO alerts gives you an automatic run play with a backside slant, bubble screen, or some type of route happening at the same time to keep the backside defenders honest, to stretch the defense in any way possible. And if there is an opening, you can quickly hit that for a big gain. RPO alert plays that have pulling guards in it can also help you in getting the user linebacker to bite on thinking it's a run where you can hit the pass right behind them. And with these plays, don't even worry about where the running back is going until the last second. You should be focused on, with the bubble screen, for example, the nearest defender to him that can deflect or pick the pass off. If that defender slides inside or back, you throw the bubble. If he follows the receiver, focus on the running back and the automatic handoff now. Now RPO peaks will have you aim to attack the second level defender and hopefully to use the defender to try and make him always wrong in his decision. If he commits to the run, you throw a pass right behind his head. If he plays the pass, he's too late to defend the run. This can make a user defender's job a tough assignment in the game. Now, if you bring up the RT or R2 button, you will see the P above that defender's head, signaling he's the defender you want to stare at to decide whether to hand the ball off, which is automatic, or pass it to the receiver going into his zone because he crashed down too far to defend the run. One of my other favorite formations to run the read option out of for years has been out of gun trips. Now the actual play has evolved into now being the RPO read bubble with my tight end as the Z receiver to get better blocking there and flip it. This just takes complete ownership of the space the bubble creates backside. So they're forced to have 3 over there and 1 on the tight end by himself. So that leaves 7 guys, and I can read one of them, so that leaves 6, with one of them being a deep safety. So unless that safety comes down, which you can then just try and beat them 1-on-1, you can get a smooth 5 defenders on 5 blockers. Now RPO reads are the hardest of them all as they add the ability to run with the quarterback in them with the built-in read option. So you can give it to the back, throw it to a receiver, or run with the quarterback. They obviously give you the most bang for your buck, but again are the hardest to master. No matter the type of RPO you select, they are really powerful to run on third down as it magnifies their effectiveness with the many options in such a quick time frame. Another note is if you run an RPO that has a bubble screen attached to it, you're better off having the bubble be set up the opposite of the quarterback's throwing hand. That way they can throw it quicker if the receiver is open. RPOs just put players in a hard spot post-snap on what to react to, and little do they know, no matter what they choose, they will be wrong. Being able to counter whatever the defender does in that situation make RPOs so hard to stop. Your order of operations have to be, can you pass into any of these routes targeting the defenders? Now, based on the defender you're reading, can you run it with the running back? Or if he's crashing, you can keep it with the quarterback by hitting A or X to keep the ball. If you're throwing the ball, you have to throw it early or you will be called for illegal man downfield. Next, we got speed options. Now, bringing up RT or R2 in your controller, you will see a P above a defender's head, and he will be the guy you will be reading to determine if you should pitch it to your running back with L1 or LB or keep it with the quarterback. Now, these plays are a lot easier to get the reads right and when to run with the quarterback because all you're doing is pressing L1 or LB on your controller to pitch the ball. And they're pretty forgiving on how long you have to pitch it. Now, you can determine the speed at which you pitch it. Pressing it harder will make the QB toss it faster, and tapping it soft will have him loft it. If you want to pump fake the pitch, double tap L1 or LB on your controller to get the defender to bite. Now, when you notice your opponent click onto the pitch defender, 9 times out of 10, they're going to run to the pitch guy immediately. So don't pitch it in a hurry. So be patient here and be ready to just take it with the quarterback. Now with speed options, power options, I love these plays and they're so tough to stop because if you stuff the middle of the line of scrimmage, this gets the players to the edge quickly to poke holes in your defenders on the edge and play a 2-on-1 game with that defender, making it nearly impossible to execute well and leave big plays waiting to happen. Because of how fast they develop, you want to have a heavy dose of speed options on the goal line because it's pretty difficult to stop the pitch. And like I said, they're pretty forgiving on how long you have to pitch it. And if, like I said, the user even hesitates looking at the running back, the quarterback can sneak right through. So alright, sports gamers, I hope this video was able to help you out. And if you like the content we provide, make sure to subscribe to Sports Gamers Online for more College Football 25 content. And once you're with us, hit that bell icon at the bottom so you don't miss anything we put out. Alright people, I'm Chris. Thank y'all for watching and be good y'all.